Was that all right?
Very.
Yeah! Welcome to Gooner Fanzine TV. I'm with Dan, and this is our new segment, Dear Dan and Serge, where we go through your comments on all of our videos and give us our thoughts. And the first comment this week is from Zod Sinclair saying, "Tell Freddie to get ready just in case for the interim." Dan, what do you think?
I like the rhyming.
He's done well there, but do you think Freddie's the person to go for the interim? Do you think Emery's going to go? Do you think Freddie be the right person?
Well, I think Freddie's one of many options. I mean, there's lots of people in the frame.
But Freddie's only done the youth team, and now he's sort of assistant manager. Has he got enough managerial ability to deal with what is a changing room of quite big characters?
Well, you could say that he's not got the experience, but he's an Arsenal man through and through, which I think is a big boost and a big plus point for him.
True.
Everyone's got to start somewhere, whether it's a job that's too big for him. You could argue that. But I've seen enough of Freddie and a lot from Freddie that says he could be ready.
Well, another comment from Thomas Davies is suggesting Chris Wilder for me, boys. I love how he sets up Sheffield United. And this is something we have discussed on the podcast, that he is one of those managers you look at and you go, wow, you've come into the Premier League, absolutely steamrolled it and done really well. He's in 5th place. He's 1 point. He's above us on goal difference. He's set up the team really well with what their weekly wage expenditure is £260,000, which is £90,000 less than Mesut Ozil.
Do you know what?
And their most expensive player is on 50 grand a week. That is incredible to have set up for the Premier League that well, that efficiently.
You use the word steamrolled there. It's 13 games all it takes to steamroll a league.
Well, he steamrolled us.
Anyone was Tranmere Rovers was steamroller. Sorry, Tranmere. But I mean, Arsenal could possibly go for what you describe as an unattractive option as manager. There's obviously plenty of big names out there like Simeone, Allegri, who.
But I mean, Chris Wilder's another English manager that we spoke about last year about Eddie Howe, and this year Chris Wilder's doing the Eddie Howe role.
Eddie Howe's an option for me as well. I think he's got a bit more Premier League experience. Chris Wilder is obviously someone who's managed further down the pyramid, has done well with Sheffield United. They give him that, and they played well against Arsenal. But I think he probably needs a bit more time to prove himself.
Yeah.
I mean, you said about Eddie Howe. I think he'd be probably a better English option if Arsenal were to go down the English route. But yeah, Chris Wilder not for me. Decent shout, but not for me.
Not for you, right? The next comment. Oh, it's a fan favourite. Captain Circa says Sergio talking utter tosh, and the only reason we looked like we wouldn't concede at Leicester was because we played with 10 men behind the ball. Get the bum out. I'm assuming that's reference to Emery, not my bum.
I agree. Do you know what? I personally agree that Serge is tosh.
Well, I think because the reason you made that comment was because I was saying Emery should stay until January so that we have a bit more of a constructive lead up to his dismissal if we do have to dismiss him. I admit, not everyone agrees with the point that Emery should stay for a bit longer. People want him out instantly. But unfortunately, Captain Circa, I think you're entirely wrong, and I think we have to keep it until January. Dan?
Do you know what I want? I want Emery out and I want Serge out. That's all I've got to say.
Well, you can only have one or the other, and you can't get rid of me, so you're stuck with me. Right, this one's for you now. From kittypoos.
I know what this is.
Who says, Dan the man, the defence of the Invincibles were not George Graham players.
I never
Laurent,
said that they were.
Toure, Campbell, Cole. So ridiculous point.
Listen to what I'm saying, my friend. I speak logic. I never said the defence of Invincibles was George Graham's defence. I said that it starts with George Graham and that Arsene Wenger inherited the defence, and then yes, when he went on to the Invincibles, he had a different defence. But he obviously learnt from people like Tony Adams, like Lee Dixon, like Nigel Winterburn, who knew how to defend, and he obviously soaked that in. You know, we know Arsene Wenger is an intelligent man,
of course,
who knows a lot about football, and he's willing to listen to others. And he absorbed that. It was clear that he absorbed that, and he taught and understood that they needed to be built on a strong defence of Sol Campbell, Kolo Toure, Ashley Cole, who would have learnt under Nigel Winterburn, may I add, and Laurent obviously at right back. I mean, we spoke to Lee Dixon, who said...
We did. Dixon away. He had a lot of
Dixon
stuff,
away was a big game. But Lee Dixon said about how Laurent came in and replaced him, and Lee Dixon obviously passed on what he learned to Laurent.
Of course.
I never, ever said that the Invincible defence was one that Arsene Wenger inherited from George Graham. So basically, listen to what I'm saying and get it right.
Right, so speaking of the defence, a comment from LiftingAdrian says, I lost faith with Emery after the Watford game, 2-2, when we gave them more than 30 shots. It shows that we haven't improved, in fact we're going backward. And I've got to agree, we gave them far too much shots, far too much drift in the midfield area. Yeah. They were swamping us, and unfortunately our wing-backs couldn't perform to deal with the onslaught there, especially on the side with Doucouré. We couldn't handle Doucouré's attack, could we?
Well, I mean, Watford was one of many games where you look at Unai Emery's Arsenal and you say, you know what, this isn't going anywhere. It's going backwards. You can point to Palace last year, Wolves last year, Watford this year, Bournemouth this year. The list can go on. So I mean, I agree with him that Watford was up there with the worst performances of the lot.
It was, well, considering we were 2 goals clear and we just collapsed. We've done that several times this season now, because we were 2 up against Palace and we conceded 2 again. So there seems to be a regular theme that we just concede shots.
Do you want,
constant shots.
Do you want to hear a funny story about that game? I was away on holiday. I was in Vietnam. And I watched the first half in a bar and I thought, I've got the game wrapped up here. And I went out, I didn't watch the second half. And I woke up next morning, we drew 2-2.
That's why I always say
says it all.
Football is a game of 2 halves there, Dan. I think you've learned that now.
100% I've learned that. And don't watch Unai Emery's Arsenal, it's basically
moving on to more comments from our half and half scarf video, which is obviously where you were entirely wrong. So
I'm always wrong.
A comment here from another comment from kittypoos. You're a popular commenter.
He loves it. He loves a bit of it.
No half and half or Unai Emery scarves. Sergio, take note. Is Sergio Am I Nigel Winterburn's son? No, I'm not Nigel Winterburn's son. And to be fair, the Gooner Fanzine TV, we took the standpoint where we defend the manager until it became unable to do so. So we've got the Unai Emery scarf, and the reason I bought it is because they'd sold out of Granite Tracker scarves. So there you go, kittypoos.
Do you know what? Can I just make very clear, in defence of myself, my colleagues, Toby Miles, Leif Yusuf, Grumpy Glenn, Rosie Tubble, you bought that scarf. That is your responsibility.
I bought it for set dressing, and I think it worked quite as well.
Yeah, you also bought a Granite Jacket pin badge.
You'll like this next comment, also by kittypoos. He is a stream of comments.
Do you know what? He loves it.
He loves it.
Big up
well done, lad.
Well done, my friend.
He says, we hope the Unai Emery scarf is being burned at the end of the podcast. We'll only burn it when he leaves.
When he gets sacked.
If he leaves.
You know what video is coming. What would you mean when he leaves? If not when, not if. He's gonna leave.
The most important comment we've got so far from the groomsdaybook.com says, never mind all that. When is Glenn getting a smartphone? First of all,
never.
You don't know him. His name is Grumpy Glenn. You're a bit too formal there, just calling him Glenn. He's Grumpy Glenn. And also, never. The man is a stalwart. His phone doesn't even have a colour screen.
Serge.
It's black and white.
Serge, have you ever heard the song by Pulp, Let's All Meet Up in the Year 2000? That's Glenn.
That is Glenn.
Right, we'll see Glenn in the year 2000.
Or busted the year 3000. Here's a nice tweet from Gunnosaurus, at Gunnosaurus, saying, good luck, righty.
The socially conscious dinosaur, as my good friend Leif Yusuf would say.
It's a delightful picture of Ian Wright hugging Gunnosaurus in what looks to be last season's top.
Do you know what? That is a 3-way hug, Righty Gunnosaurus, that I want to be involved in.
That is, it's like hugging Leif, but softer.
I'm more socially conscious.
More socially conscious. We've now got a text with Arseny Arshavin, who is Arshavin's son, who's 8 years old. He's at La Masia, and he was the performer of the week for Barcelona. How do you feel that Arsene Wenger's influence over the team was that strong that one of the players named their children after him?
With the first name, was it Arseny?
Arseny?
Do you know what? I've got no idea where that influence came from.
Do you think it's quite good though that Arsene Wenger had that much of an influence over the players, that they respected him that highly?
I mean, if Arshavin is naming his son Arseny, he's clearly forgotten the final 2 years of his Arsenal career, hasn't he?
He just remembered Anfield, didn't he? That was it.
That was
just 4 goals at Anfield. That's all he had to remember.
All
right, moving swiftly on, we have another one about the Leicester fans singing, "You're getting sacked in the evening." Sacked in the evening. Obviously, we were there, and you were there, and it was hilarious. You were in the bowels of the.
I'm always in the bowels of the King Power
Stadium.
Love the King Power.
Do you think that Arsenal fans and their chanting is improved, or is it just really quite still just not lacking behind? Obviously, in the podcast which we recorded earlier this week, on Saturday night, we got a book about all the Arsenal songs. This is, one of the newer songs. It's just not living up to the old reputation that we used to sing, is it?
I mean, we all know the best Arsenal song is 1-0 to the Arsenal. We can't even sing that anymore.
No.
How bad is that?
On the outside, we're better than Chelsea, who only have one word in their lexicon, which is just Chelsea, 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 Chelsea. Chelsea.
Do you know what? You mentioned the Leicester fans chant there. I did like it when they started to sing. Was it about Arsenal never winning a league title? You might want to look at the history, my friends.
Yeah. Well, we've got a funny comment here, actually, which is from our producer Dan, producer Toby's excellent ability to scroll through and find it, where he's got a picture of Leith saying, when Dan the Man Mounty isn't straight from the press box and you're not in the shadow of the Emirates, do you find yourself weird when you're not in the shadow of the Emirates or the bowels of the King Power? Do you feel a bit out of sorts when you're not there?
Do you know what, Serge? I feel uncomfortable, my friend. I don't feel like I'm myself.
No.
And
that's the face you pull. That is the face you pull when you're not in the press box.
That face
Oh, no,
shows
this will be coming up full screen.
frustration,
They'll
and
see it.
that face shows frustration and disappointment because he can't do it on his own.
He can't do it on his own.
I'm his Freddie Lumberg to his Unai Emery. That's who I am.
Well, that's all the comments we've got time to go through this week. Thank you very much for commenting, liking, subscribing. Honestly, we're going to do this every single week, so make sure you send us as many comments as possible.
And you're
all
going to
the
love
different
it.
Photos and ideas. And we'll try and get more people than just kittypoos.
Big up kittypoos.
Tequila.